Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by 3Chi and Barstool Sports. I am your host, Robbie Fox. With me is my co-host, Clem, fresh off of a Disney vacation, which was a month after another Disney vacation. Right after the Disney boys went to Disney, Clem went back with his family for 5 days. Am I right? 5 days in Disney?
5 park days, 7 days, six. I don't even know. It all blended. It was just one long day, one long
Yeah. How are you
enormous.
doing? Are you alive? Are your feet okay? Are you bandaged up?
Yeah, dogs are barking DMX style right now, really bad. The voice I think is gone. We all have lost our voice from screaming on Thunder Mountain and whatnot. But dude, it was like I was trying to say this. I said this to my wife. I was like, I think Disney is like the most working vacation you can have as a human being. If you want to do it right, where you're trying to get on schedule, get everything done, waking up early in the morning, get to the parks. Now it's like all this stuff. You have to like reserve rides. It's just an absolute crazy thing. But it was 100% worth it. You spend a ton of money. You just go and being like, you're going to be tired, you're going to be broke, but you're going to have a good time if everything kind of works out for you. So we did it. I had the blue milk. I had the blue milk.
Oh,
This
you
is a
did.
Star
You
Wars
redeemed
podcast.
us.
I reviewed it. I didn't upload the video. Dude, there is just not a minute of time where you just have just to post. Like I would tweet something here or there. I think I average like 3 tweets a day, probably. The blue milk is good. It still feels weird that they didn't go with something that was like like a milk substance. Like I don't want milk. I understand that. Milk in 90-degree Florida. That's like fucking Ron Burgundy. Milk was a bad choice, right?
Yeah.
But it was tasty. It was like a slushy. I think he gave it like an 8.2. AJ like just hammered it down. He just basically drank it all himself. So it's good for kids and it kind of gives you a little jolt. So and you can throw some booze in it too. So our girl, I called it the Baru Brew. I feel like Aunt Baru, everyone forgets, like she's the one who introduced us to blue milk, and she is I feel like Baru is our spirit animal in this podcast. The
Yeah.
badass bitch in Tatooine, just fucking firing guns that are hidden in the walls. That's our girl right there. I always laugh at the Baru trailer that we made up in our minds.
Listen, while the Force ghosts like Luke and Anakin are busy with their ancestors and stuff, Beru makes time for the Basement Boys. She's the Force ghost that we see.
Exactly. We did all the Star Wars. We did the Star Wars land, the whole thing with obviously the Dave story, and we had a VIP tour. And she was telling me how Roman Reigns happened to be. She goes, the boat before us on Small World. I heard like one of the guys who like gets you on the ride. He was talking to our VIP tour guy. He's like, I just saw a purple guest, and I'm guessing that means like VIP. And I was like, oh wow. And then after we got off, she's like, oh yeah, there's a wrestler starts with an R. He has like a 1,000-day undefeated streak. And I was like, I think that's Roman Reigns. Like, yeah, he was on the boat before you for Small World. And I was like, holy crap. And I'm like, do you have celebrities at all? And she's like, I've never had one, but we just had Barstool Sports's owner last month, the creator of it all. And I was like, oh yeah, that I was with him. That was my guy. So Dave is now the point where like he's the celebrity that people tell other people that they're there. So that was a complete absolute mind fuck. But we
I love it. The legend of the Disney Boys, thanks to Dave.
We were mentioned in hushed tones now, as if like we're almost like Lord Vader. We did all the Star Wars rides. AJ was the spy in Star Tours, which was awesome. Just pure luck of the draw there. Me and AJ flew the Millennium Falcon. I think we had 16% shield by the time we landed because AJ just doesn't know how to fly. And to be fair, I forgot that they did the inverted controls, so I tried to go up. We were going down, and I just didn't know. So we got it was the most rockiest ride you could have. And Rise of the Resistance, for anyone listening that loves Star Wars, which if you don't love Star Wars, why are you listening to this right now? Oh man, it was a hit. People loved it. It's a great ride. So all things considered, I had a blast. I could not be happier to be back home right now, though.
Also, we're not even mentioning maybe the biggest news of the trip. You reunited with Aussie Dave.
I reunited with Aussie Dave, just like happened to pass him. And I was like, Aussie Dave? He's like, hey, how's it going? And he kind of like said in, he turns around and goes, Clem! And he just comes and just throws. He had like a hand low. I thought he was going for like a high five into a hug. Just gave me a big old bear hug. And he's the absolute man. So Aussie Dave, just a delight. And hopefully, God willing, next year for Star Wars Celebration, we'll see Aussie Dave. He's in Orlando. He's a DJ down there. And he said, if you guys come on down, let's do it. And I do think there's a chance Portnoy will go because he wanted to dress up so bad for this. And we see this. Dave, I think, it just gets bored in Florida now because he doesn't have any of the fucking circus he's grown to know and love from Barstool around him. And I imagine just rubbing fucking elbows with the Miami elite probably gets a little boring after a while. Sometimes you need to mix it up with the boys. It's Star Wars time. We could dress up, go to Celebration. Then you could just get as weird as you want there. I mean, there's no Disney rules there. So
Frank can come there. We could have you in a Han Solo costume, Frank in a Boba Fett costume.
We'll extend the offer to Frank right now so people don't get their panties in a bunch, because I don't know why Frank wasn't invited to the Disney Boys 2 years ago. People are all mad. And Frank will thrive at that Star Wars celebration. We have AJ upstairs yelling like a fucking Tusken Raider right now.
I was hoping you were going Star Wars with that reference.
So it's chaos here. It's a Saturday morning, but it's a lot of fun. And again, hopefully we get back to Orlando soon. It's becoming my home away from home.
Yeah, so the people have waited long enough. Let's get into the Star Wars news, the Mandalorian recap. Thank you, everyone, for your patience while Clem was on vacay. I didn't want to bother you at all while you were on vacay, but there was so much Star Wars news that I was like, should I text him this? He's going to be excited about this. I was like, nah, I'll just save it for the podcast. I ran a little Twitter poll on what people would like us to start with, Star Wars Celebration news or the Mandalorian recap, and Star Wars Celebration won. So let's get into that. The biggest news right off the first day is that 3 new movies are announced. Now, this makes me a little bit nervous because Star Wars just keeps announcing things and canceling them and announcing them and canceling them. But I like all 3, the concept, at least for all 3. The first one being a Dave Filoni directed Mandoverse conclusion. So this will kind of be the end game, if you will, of the entire Mando, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, Book of Boba Fett saga. We don't even have a date for that, I don't think. So who knows when that will come out? I don't know what that means for Din Djarin. Will he be done after that? Will he die in that movie? Will he go on as a character and other shit? I don't know. We've got the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi movie. James Mangold, if you're not familiar, he's doing the new Indiana Jones movie. He did Logan. He's done some great movies. 3:10 to Yuma, I think, was him. He described this as a biblical epic, which I was like, holy shit, what does that mean? Biblical. You're taking us biblical. It's like the dawn of the Force, like the discovery of the Force, the first Jedi ever to wield the Force. Sounds cool. But I also don't know when that's coming out because he's got a Bob Dylan biopic coming out and he's writing Swamp Thing or being one of the writers for Swamp Thing for DC. And then Stephen Knight, the guy who created Peaky Blinders and also did like one of the worst movies of all time, according to Ken Jack, Serenity, I think it's called, is doing a movie bringing back Daisy Ridley as Rey, taking place 15 years post Rise of Skywalker, about her rebuilding the Jedi Order. I made a little video last night about my theory on this one. It would take place 15 years post Rise of Skywalker, making Grogu 91 years old. If we know the Mandoverse is wrapping up at some point, I don't think Baby Yoda and his story is wrapping up. Even if that show is done, even if that whole saga is done, I think Grogu will appear alongside Rey, rebuilding the Jedi Order in this. 91-year-old Grogu, he's starting to mature at that point. He's, to take a word from Guardians of the Galaxy, he's kind of teen Groot.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting as we progress in Baby Yoda's age, where we no longer call him Baby Yoda anymore. Yeah. Like you said, teen Groot. Would you say you? I don't think you were even really alive for this, or if you were very young. I think Baby Yoda's first words are the most anticipated first words of a character since Maggie Simpson, which was a huge deal back when I was, a sprout.
I don't remember that, so I must have been too young.
Yeah, because Maggie would just suck in the pacifier all the time, and it's a great episode if you haven't watched it. I forgot the name of it. It's it kind of goes through like all the Simpsons as kids, and basically Bart always calls Homer, and then Lisa then follows Bart and always calls him Homer, but then Maggie calls him Dad. So that was like the big thing.
Oh, is that her first word?
Yeah. So it's
That's
like
nice.
And it was a nice little story, like the Simpsons always does, with a lot of humor involved. But our boy, like Baby Yo, the first word, big deal. You got to get that voice because the cooing is fucking tens, right? It's just like Baby Groot, and Baby Groot is just saying, all he says is, I am fucking Groot. That's all he does. Baby Yo, when he starts talking, and Yoda has kind of like 10 out of 10 in terms of like great,
that was good. That was really good.
I realized this on vacation. I am an elite Yoda, Yoda. You seek Yoda. I am an elite Yoda impersonator here.
Wow, you really are. We need to utilize that at some point.
I have I have Chewbacca, R2D2, pissed off Mickey Mouse, and now Yoda. I am very good.
You're vulgar Mickey. Yeah, you got the South Park Mickey.
So to get to that level, anywhere near Yoda the king in terms of like a character and everything, it's going to be very interesting because, like you said, Din Djarin, if he's cooked at the end of that Filoni movie, we still have Baby Yoda, and like that motherfucker ain't going nowhere anytime soon. You know, from merch perspective, and I think just a story perspective, and a very unique. Has the Force, but also has the whole Mandalorian background. He could be fucking wielding the Darksaber by that movie. That, you know what? I'm calling it now. April 8th, 2023. Baby Yoda will be wielding the Darksaber at the end of at some point during the Rey movie, at the beginning or end. It will happen.
He's also got, as far as I know, they're the only two with the connection of Force healing. I think they're the only two Jedi who can do that. Who can
really?
Heal a cut by using the Force, because I remember that was a big deal. Baby Yoda did that like the week Rise of Skywalker came out, and people were like, oh, that's the connection that they introduced. And I was like, I think that might be coincidence, but who knows? Out of the three, which excites you the most?
Filoni by 100,000 million. So that's the other thing, is this was the first vacation where I really unplugged. Like I've had a couple of vacations that were a couple days long, as much as a week. During those vacations, I would write probably about half as much as I would usually write. I do every podcast episode. This was like okay, my brain hasn't recovered from the pandemic. I need to just get the fuck off the internet. And the internet is like, it's, you know how Twitter is, right? It's toxic even when it's not toxic. The Mets season just started. I have all the fucking Mets fans ready to jump off the bridge. I came back and I started checking Twitter. My mentions, it's just like people just talking shit. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. We live in this world as well. So I just had to unplug altogether. I went on, and the first thing I saw, I didn't even know Celebration was taking place this week. The first thing I saw was Filoni. I go, holy shit. Now, I didn't realize it was a Mandoverse wrap up at first. I thought he was doing an independent movie, kind of just bridging the gap between Jedi and Awakens. Mandoverse changes it a bunch, but I think it also makes it much more in his wheelhouse right now, because this is the story he's built. And kind of, let's be honest, it brought the Star Wars fans back together after the fucking Last Jedi ripped us apart. So that's by far the number one, because I do think there will be other Star Wars elements sprinkled in, obviously, that will lead to the Force Awakens kind of stuff. I'll be interested to hear your take, though. What's yours?
I'm out of all three, it is the Filoni one for me as well, because I love this Mando story so much. I do worry, like, I feel like Din Djarin is that almost Han Solo type character. Like, you know how Harrison wanted Han to die in Return of the Jedi? I feel like Din Djarin might die to, save Grogu, or to take back Mandalore and save everyone else. Starting as a selfish character, becoming a completely selfless character. I really do see that for him. And I feel like it could be Endgame in that way, where like they could make that as sad as, I am Iron Man.
Oh yeah. Like our boy Baby Yo. It's like I Love You 3000 if Tony Stark's daughter watched him die. Cause I think Grogu will be on the battlefield as this is all going down. Right.
Exactly.
And now I have to admit, I might be alone in this. I almost feel like I feel like that's kind of his destiny. It is your destiny. I do feel like it's almost like, I don't know, maybe just because Mandalorians and bounty hunters are such warriors by nature. It's like they're all gonna probably just die like that at some point. There's not a lot of Mandalorians. They just put the helmet, they hang it up, put the feet up on the couch, and retire. Like you die on the battlefield, or you die on the way to the battle. Like there's just no other way to go about it. So I'm not even going to be like, I'll be upset. I won't be surprised if and when that happens. So I hear what you're saying. I feel the most at ease about this movie, which is someone that obviously did not like the sequel trilogy. I feel like he will. This is the highest floor and the highest ceiling by far of all.
Well, it's probably going to be like Thrawn as the big villain here as well. You would have to assume this is like Thrawn as Vader almost. I think
this is his period, because that's the thing, is the time periods I don't know, and I imagine all the other casual Star Wars fans don't know where. Even Ahsoka, I don't know where that fits in terms of timeline, because I know Ahsoka was basically, she came around in the Clone Wars is where we meet her, around then?
As a kid in the Clone Wars, but her show, I believe they're going to do some time jumps in her show, but a lot of it's going to take place in the same era as Mando. So
Okay.
she is, when she was introduced in, I think it was the Magistrate, I think that might have been the name of the episode. She was looking for Thrawn, and she'll continue that search for Thrawn in her show. Thrawn announced this morning to be played by Lars Mikkelsen, who voiced him in the Rebels cartoon. This was like the biggest pop of Star Wars Celebration yet. They walked him out on stage, and people went absolutely wild because he has such a good voice for that character, a sinister voice for that character. And it made no sense to recast him in my eyes because he has also the same look, kind of looks like Thrawn. So I love that they're bringing him back. I think that this is going to be a big movie for him. The James Mangold movie, I'm also very excited about. He's crushed every movie he's put out so far. And if the new Indiana Jones crushes it with, an 87-year-old 3-plane crash later Harrison Ford, I think this one is going to be like a surefire home run. And then the Stephen Knight one, I'm probably the most positive about this because I'm such a Rey fan. I'm such a sequel trilogy fan. I actually did text Dave about this. I texted him the little Lights Camera Barstool tweet. He wound up saying, let's go about it. Stephen Knight, loved that he created Peaky Blinders. Worried that he created apparently the worst movie of all time, but we'll see.
So Ken Jack said in his blog that it was a movie where the guy's in a video game and he acts as his dad and fucks his mom. I'm like, all right, this is getting. I mean, there is a little hint of inbreeding in Star Wars, right? We get the kiss on the cheek with Leia and Luke in the beginning, and then
I don't like to talk about it, but yeah.
We even had the tweet the other day on Disney Plus where they completely boned. Oh, I'm not going to say the word boned when talking about those two together. So the one that's so we're going all the way back to it's the Old Republic, right? It's like
even before that. I think this is like 25,000 years before, and this is the first Jedi ever.
We're dealing Moses in the desert, fucking learning how to move a rock with his brain. That's the kind of stuff we're dealing with. I love it. It's gonna it can't be worth the midichlorians, right? So let's just start there. I feel like it could be heady, it could be religious. Hopefully it doesn't get too crazy religious and earthy and stuff like that. But like I feel like, dude, we all love the Force. We all have tried to move stuff with our brains. I tried to do it this week. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. It's just one of those cool things. There is like the Jedi religion aspect of it that we've always wanted, and the fact that you're worried about there being a chunk of new movies being announced, which I had no idea was even coming. I'm happy it's 3. I'm happy we're not going 5. I'm happy we don't have a fucking MCU timeline with 7 shows, 18 movies, and everything's there. Let's just get these 3 right, or just don't completely botch them at the very least. This is my number 2. That's my number 2 in terms of excitement. Is I do think there's a lot of cool things. The Rey movie, I love Daisy Ridley. I liked, I liked her character. I thought the actress was great. There was a few other people in there. There was just so much bad stuff, though. Okay, Last Jedi aside, we clearly disagree on Last Jedi. Pretty sure, actually, forget Mando. Pretty sure Rise of Skywalker united the fan base more than Mando because everybody fucking hated that movie, right? So
yeah, I mean, I was the most positive about it, but even by the end, I was like, I can't believe they're kissing. Oh my god, what is happening right now?
So because of that, it's like it does seem kind of it seems kind of crazy that they're going to continue that and just go all right, but Rey was so good, and we're just going to be like, basically, first 5 minutes of the movie, just spray some Febreze, and there will be like, all right, all that stuff from, whether you liked episode 8, whether you liked episode 9, even if I know there's people who didn't like episode 7, spray the Febreze, get it's smelling better again, and we can go forward with obviously an actress and a character that a lot of people love. I think it can work. And Portnoy will be fucking probably promoting the shit out of this movie, pumping up Rey, so that'll get all like the casual. That'll probably make some fucking non-Star Wars fans Star Wars fans just because it did, right? So, and again, it's kind of like what they're doing with Mando, and they're kind of maybe fixing the sequel trilogy from the back end. They could probably do it from the future too, and kind of make it work as well. I don't know if they could ever truly fix those movies. I think the prequels could have been saved. They should just say Darth Jar Jar was the correct way to go about it. We completely fucked that up. We apologize. Maybe even make a Darth Jar Jar episode 2. Wouldn't be opposed to that. But with the Rey one, I'm excited for you too. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for Dave. I know how much you guys both love Daisy Ridley. But
yeah, we're gonna fight over her probably.
The thing that finally rips apart Dave and Bob is Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, I saw Dave is in Venice today. Happy birthday, Silvana. Nice trip for them. But I tweeted him, take the fellas next, hashtag Venice boys, trying to get us our next trip, you know? But that Febreze you're talking about, that might be Grogu. You know, if you throw him in there, for some people that hated the sequel trilogy, who hates Grogu? You throw them on screen together and you might be like, all right, I'm down with this. First 5 minutes, you get them lifting rocks together, doing flips together.
You know, there should be like a supercut of just Grogu fixing all the trilogies that like fix the prequels, and he's just cooing, going, oh, and then you have him do the same thing during the stupid casino scene in The Last Jedi, and he's just in there cooing. You're like, oh, look at that guy. Oh, there was a scene taking place. I don't even remember it. And then at the end, it's like, oh, everything's basically Empire at this point. It's all perfect.
There needs to be just a button on your remote that has them flash on screen. So whatever you don't like in the movie, you hit the button and Grogu appears. I like
smash
that.
the button, basically.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do the fucking meme here, which I still don't know the name of the product, where the water's leaking, just smash some baby Grogu on it, and it's. I've been saying the G word way too much. Baby Yoda. His name is fucking Baby Yoda. They were calling him.
You're getting used to Grogu.
I know, they were calling him Grogu in the parks and stuff like that, so it got in my head. I'm like, it's fucking Baby Yoda. Shut up, guys.
We also got the trailer for Ahsoka. Plenty of the Rebels crew were present here. We saw Hera, we saw Sabine. They even brought Chopper out on stage. Now, Clem, Chopper, who I referred to as kind of the R2-D2 of the crew, he's voiced by Dave Filoni. And in Star Wars canon, he is the biggest war criminal with the biggest kill count in the history of the galaxy. He's killed over 50,000 droids and humans. He is not to be messed with.
Is he? So let's see. Chopper throws an Imperial droid overboard. That's the first result I got when I searched for Chopper. Because everyone tells me, like, Clem, you're going to absolutely love Chopper. I didn't realize he has a fucking body count like that.
50,000, Clem. 50, more than anyone in Star Wars canon. He's the biggest war criminal out there. He can fire lasers from the ship, from the Ghost. He's like a gunner. He just electrocutes the shit out of people sometimes. Walks up to him, nice to meet you. Bzzz,
hand buzzer?
Joker.
He does the hand buzzer?
Kind of like the hand buzzer, but more sinister, more evil. Chopper, you don't mess with him.
So, and he doesn't just kill droids; he kills like living creatures too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean, I couldn't be more in on Chopper. I almost have. I have to check myself because again, it's like when you go to the movie and you hear 99 Rotten Tomatoes, you're like, oh, this is gonna be perfect. I have to just pump the brakes on myself because like then it's a good name. I saw. I think Ken Jack said he is like R2-D2 but dumber, which I kind of love too. So it's like I kind of just love a big, crazy, killing fucking oaf of a droid. And the kids are gonna love him too. So I know I have to go back, Rebels, Clones, and this is the thing. This is what I learned this trip and right before this trip. The kids are obsessed with Star Wars again. We watched all the movies to get them ready. We went to the land. They were completely taken in by it. AJ had $50 to spend anywhere in Disney. First thing he bought, I told you he was going to buy that sword at Pirates of the Caribbean. I said to you when we went, I said, that is going to be the one thing AJ wants. He goes, Dad, I want that sword. I go, buddy, I knew that a month ago. You weren't even here, and I knew that. And then he had $25 left, and he goes, I want these toys right here. And it was all the Mandalorian, like you have Baby Yo, you have Din Djarin, you have Moff Gideon, whole bunch of the guys. They are diehards for this. So now, once we've caught up, we finished the original trilogy. We'll dabble in the other two trilogies, obviously, because I hate them. Not push the thing, but go back to Clones, go back to Rebels, and so where is Chopper? Which one?
Rebels.
He's Rebels? Okay.
Yeah. They will love both shows. I think they'll love Rebels even more though.
Really? I had no idea Rebels was this. I've heard Clone Wars so much. I didn't know Rebels was anywhere close to it in terms of quality. I guess because it was first, right? Clone Wars?
Clone Wars was first, and Rebels was also on like Disney XD, so it's a little less violent, a little less dark at times, but it's still very good. Like there's a lightsaber battle between Darth Vader and Ahsoka, the one that they kind of mirrored in Obi-Wan, where his helmet gets slashed. That's as good as anything in Clone Wars. So I'm really excited for this. I think Ahsoka is going to crush it. Rosario Dawson is the perfect lead for this series. And the first poster is just a picture of her face, but goddamn, it looks cool.
And Thrawn is the guy for me that I'm most excited for, other than apparently Chopper, the 50,000 person android killing motherfucker. Thrawn, can you compare Thrawn to? Is he like? Okay, tell me, is this wrong? I've heard he's like super smart, calculating, like
Yeah.
leader, imperial. Is he almost like a Gus Fring of the Empire?
Ooh, that's honestly, that's a pretty good comparison. Like, yeah, he oversees it. He's more of a strategist than Darth Vader. Like, he'll outsmart you with ships and a fleet before he'll stand you down with a blaster or a lightsaber. You know, he'll always just outsmart the rebels. So Gus Fring is actually a pretty good comparison because Gus Fring, other than the box cutter, the famous box cutter, he doesn't really get his hands dirty like that, you
Yeah.
know?
And I imagine
So
Thrawn, when he has to, he will get his hands dirty. If he has to slit a
yeah,
motherfucker's throat just to
and he's
make a point.
cold like that. So yeah, I think that's a pretty apt comparison.
Does he have a Mike Ehrmantraut? I can't say Ehrmantraut. I can never say his name. Does he have like a right hand man that does the dirty work for him? I got to rewatch. I just love Breaking Bad.
He's got a crew. He's got a crew of like his own people, which I'm very interested to also see. Like, is Gideon one of his people? And I don't know, but we're going to see an episode next week that I'm hearing is the best episode of The Mandalorian ever. I have a friend, shout out my friend Vinny Vegas, who is in Star Wars Celebration right now. He's at Star Wars Celebration with his brother. They got an early screener of the whole episode. He could not stop raving to me about this episode. He's like, I'm telling you, he loves Rogue One. He's like, it's better than Rogue One. It's better than any episode of the Mando in history. He's like, it's so theatrical. He's like, I can't believe we got to watch it in a theater because it felt like a movie. So look forward to next week. I trust Vinny Vegas when it comes to Star Wars news. You should too.
All right. So, I mean, like, again, I'm going to have to pump the brakes on this one because I'm going in expecting fucking Empire or nothing less. I will be upset about it. So let's fucking rock and roll, man. Let's keep it going.
All right, and now let's get into chapter 22 of The Mandalorian, Guns for Hire. You just watched this last night, right? Like right off the flight?
I watched this right off the flight, got home. You know, when did you ever have a thing where if you turned on a certain street, you knew you were like basically home? It was like one of my childhood memories, and right on Stebbins here. And I live a block away or a neighborhood away from my parents, so it's the same thing. And now my kids get to experience like, oh, I'm so tired. I was somehow in 93-degree weather. Now it's 39-degree weather. The numbers have flipped on us, and you're just so shot. And I'm going to tell you, Bob, I don't know what the reaction to this was. I did see a couple like tweets. People are tweeting Mandalorian stuff, and I had to kind of like scroll by them because I didn't get anything spoiled. There's like 2 episodes I watched. There's like a Mandalorian episode, and then there's a fucking I have like 7 different comparisons to it as we'll go through the episode. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know if it was because I was so out of sorts from a week at Disney and then a flight through the day and just kids. But I thought I was like in a fever dream watching this fucking show. Am I the only person that was like this? Because I am so fucking confused by the end of this thing.
No, this is a polarizing episode for sure. And especially for you coming back from Epcot and watching an episode where they go to Star Wars Epcot must have been like, what in the fuck is happening here? But yeah, this was a polarizing one. Let's get into it. It was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. She's done 2 episodes in the past. She did the introduction of Bo-Katan, and this was a big episode for Bo as well and her whole crew, who we start with. It starts with this weird Romeo and Juliet love story between a Quarren and a Mon Calamari. The Mon Calamari was played by Tom Holland's younger brother, Harry. Little fun fact for you. They gave him a little cameo. The Quarren in the tank eating the fish. They dumped in the little fish, eats it creepy as fuck with their mouths. I don't mean to be racist against the Quarren.
Whoa.
Yeah,
oh, don't get us fucking canceled here.
No, it was creepy. I saw our guy, heavy spoilers, actually. You're wearing his shirt right now. He compared it to Doctor Who. And I agree with that comparison. It felt weird, like in that Doctor Who way, sci-fi.
Bob, you better just like watch it right now, man. That's the culture right there. You do not want to piss them off. That is the way that they have to eat. Oh man, we're gonna get. Well, I don't know what fucking planet they're from, but this isn't. I'm looking up Harry Holland right now, by the way, because I kind of want to buy stock in him.
Yeah, they gave him a cameo in No Way Home, but it got cut.
Oh, did it? That's a tough look. That's a tough. It was
in the Super Fun edition on Stars. If you have Stars.
Ooh, okay. He kind of looks like you can definitely see the brother resemblance of him. All right, I'm not buying. I'm not. You know, if Harry Holland goes on to be bigger than Tom Holland, God bless. I'm not buying. I just don't see it right now.
And then they have like a New Hope reference where you see a giant ship come over the Quarren ship. And the Quarren ship was so cool. Right away, you could tell it was like, oh, those are the fish people. And my girlfriend said it right away too, like a non-Star Wars fan. As soon as she saw the well, she's a Star Wars fan, but not a diehard, hardcore. As soon as she saw the ship, she was like, oh, that's the fish people, right? I was like, yes, everyone knows just based on the design. It's a brilliant design. But they have that giant, was it Gideon ship from last season? It certainly looked like it.
Oh yeah, I don't know if that
In
was
the
him.
same bridge, I think it might have been. They come over. They're like, we got to take this prince back. They do come in. Casca Reeves takes him in. That's Sasha Banks. She had like 2 seconds in this episode, maybe 20 seconds, being realistic. Wrestling fans were acting like she should win an Emmy for her performance. It was crazy.
Wait, wrestling fans overreact to something? No, not wrestling fans. Kevin KFC said this week that like Mets fans are Star Wars fans, where it's all the complaining and the doomsaying. And it's like, I think wrestling fans, there's a very shared brain between those three factions, especially on the
internet. And now here we go. The Mandalorian. He comes into the episode. Bum bum. Him and Bo go to Plaisir 15, aka Epcot. This is like another heavy spoilers reference. He said it looks like the Utopia meme, like the world if blank didn't exist or whatever. Yep. That is literally what this thing looks like. They have the domes, which I think are supposed to remind us of Mandalore a little bit, how Mandalore could look eventually in the future. The ship is taken over as they go into the atmosphere, and they're just taken to like a docking bay where they're greeted by Goth R2-D2 and C-3PO. And then they get on the People Mover, which is another Disney thing.
I said the welcome music and like the message straight out of Disney. I honestly was very confused. I'm like, I don't know if this is just me saying that. The fact you said that makes me feel a lot better about how it all, because it really was a complete mind fuck for me how it all went down. By the way, do we know this guy Ace Wolves? Like, do you know him? He
was part of the Bo-Katan crew from last season.
Okay. And he was not
in the finale because it's more of like a not specifically girl power thing, but you know, it was all the girls.
But was he in like Rebels, and does he have like a whole thing in the back? Okay. I didn't know if he is like a fleshed out character that everyone, oh man, Ace Wolves is back. Let's fucking rock and roll here.
Also, get it right, Axe Wolves.
Oh yeah, you know what?
Which is even more badass, to be honest. He kind of sounds like a porn star, but
I had it as Axe Wolves. It got auto corrected to Ace Wolves. So I have
notes is working for the Empire. All right, now here's where the fever dream really begins, though, in this episode.
Oh boy,
they're brought before Jack Black and Lizzo, the two people I would never expect to see in The Mandalorian. Two people I love, to be honest. Lizzo, I See You. Jack Black, School of Rock, one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Tenacious D. Two people that took me out of the episode right away, though. And I think took a lot of people out of the episode. My girlfriend said this feels like an SNL skit right away. And I kind of agree.
Oh,
I kind of agree.
That might have been the call of the episode.
And it's like, I hate to say that because, again, these are two people. I truly am a fan of Jack Black and Lizzo. I love that Lizzo got this opportunity to be in Star Wars. She had a nice tweet where she says her father showed her Star Wars like a rite of passage. This was like something she wishes her father could have seen. I'm sure they gave it their all. I just couldn't focus on anything where they were on the screen. She's tempting Baby Yoda with the food. He does his jump thing, which sent your TikTok off again this week. Got like 40,000 extra views because of this, definitely.
Yes.
And I did like the Jack Black character story where he's an Imperial who's now married a Duchess, and he can't build an army or military on this planet because he's a former Imperial. So they have to outsource security, and they only let Bo and Mando in because weaponry is part of their religion. Like, all of that was good. I just couldn't focus on it because it was Jack Black talking about it.
Yeah, and so you throw Jack Black and Lizzo in a Star Wars episode or movie, whatever it may be, that's fine. But when you make it like they Quantumania'd it, where it's like the fancy part of like the Bill Murray part of Quantumania, and everything's larger than life, it's colorful. They're acting extra crazy and wacky, and I was like, did I have some 3G like on the plane? Like, what's happening? I felt like I was in another galaxy far, far away. It was such a mind fuck, and it was 11 at night, and I was extremely I was overtired, and I thought shit was going on. So I'm happy to know. And again, there's ways to do it they do it all the time where they throw a guy a fucking stormtrooper helmet on him. it's hard to like be like, hey, Jack Black, don't be Jack. You need Jack Black to be Jack Black. I understand that. But to make him like such an important part of the episode, it was just okay. So I'm not alone in this because I get very nervous when I have to criticize something, and then it's like, Jeff D. Lowe's always like, oh, the Star Wars fans with poop in their diapers. It's like, man, can I just like give my opinion? If you guys love it, you love it. I don't love it here. I didn't love this one. I just didn't love it. So I sorry if this offends. I'm just gonna say that. Sorry if this offends.
So I have a very like similar take as you. Like, I did not really like any of the Jack Black Lizzo scenes, but it didn't ruin the episode for me. I actually liked everything except their scenes in the episode pretty much.
It was basically 2 episodes, I thought.
Yeah.
Or, there's 2 stories in it, the A story, the B story, and I enjoyed the B story. It's just the A story. It was like, and again, it was just all right. It was fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry. It was fucking ridiculous. And I want to rewatch it again, but I was so fucking confused, and I just wanted to okay, I'm happy I missed the Twitter discourse for it. There was probably some really good memes and jokes made along the way. I might have to go back and read them. Maybe I'll go on the Reddit and see what everyone said. But maybe we'll get like a Tenacious D, Lizzo, fun. Maybe make a Star Wars song together. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but that could be the best thing to come out of it. This episode, this storyline was not the best thing to come out of it. We're just gonna say that it's not fucking goofy.
Now, from a cameo that took me out of the episode to a cameo that I actually loved and thought fit perfectly in the Star Wars universe, we meet Christopher Lloyd in this episode as well. I thought Christopher Lloyd was like a character that fit. He felt right. He was the head of security. So basically, Lizzo and Jack Black tell Mando and Bo their city's facing a droid problem, which felt like a very Clone Wars-y problem. This felt like a story arc that Anakin and Obi-Wan would settle on that show.
Yes.
No army can enter their city because of the weaponry and everything, but because of the technicality of weaponry being part of these Mandalorians' religion, they're allowed in. They have to act as security. So Christopher Lloyd's the head of security who goes, nothing is going on with these droids really other than slight malfunctions. He shows them some footage. There's a malfunction of like a couple
speeder.
There's garbage droids that go in, and then there's like one at a hibachi place that starts throwing knives at people, and it's like, all right, that one's a bad malfunction. But he assures them like the citizens want this to keep happening. Like they voted to keep the droids up and running.
I love that the citizens are like, yeah, there's like a 0.01% chance we're going to get murdered in horrific fashion by a droid malfunction. But the other 99.99% of the time, we don't have to lift a finger to do anything. So we're cool with that one. So I thought that was pretty funny. And like basically the most human moment in the entire Star Wars anthology was just people being like, nah, we're cool. If I fucking the onion volcano lights a fire and lights my ass up and kills my whole family, so be it. We didn't have to do anything, in life, basically. It had a little bit of like I had a little bit mirroring of like the current AI state we're in, where I feel like this could be the final result of it all right here.
It was a little too real in moments.
A little too
like
real,
that,
yes.
Where it's like, oh God, they would vote to keep him running. But he's like, it's not our fault that they're malfunctioning. Go talk to the Ugnaughts. That's who makes them. It's the Ugnaughts' fault. And I liked that we got to see some Ugnaughts. He goes down, he drops Queel's name, drops an I have spoken, and they respected Queel's name. He's like a respected figure among the Ugnaughts.
Dude, maybe the biggest Leo pointing at the screen meme moment for me ever was when he said, I have spoken. And I'm like, oh, he said the thing. I was going fucking crazy. Remember how big I have spoken was? It was bigger than This Is the Way for a hot minute there. And then obviously our boy passed and it's all gone. But I have spoken. That was a glorious couple of weeks on Twitter there. I don't know, man. I love that. I miss that dude a lot. What's his name? Queel? I miss him so much. I don't even know his goddamn name. But
Nick Nolte.
Yeah, Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte. No, Robbie.
Is it not Nolte?
It's Nolte. Nick Nolte.
Nolte. I like that.
Papa
Yeah.
Della Bella coming out.
I'm gonna give him a little Italian. Give him a little pizzazz on that last name.
I loved just this. My favorite thing about this planet was just how they repurposed all their old Imperial shit. That, like, I mean, they do the Imperial shit better than the Imperials did, right? It's like they have the robots, they have the Star Destroyer, they have the Stormtrooper outfits, the guy, but they're not wearing the helmets.
That was cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of very cool shit here. That again, I love seeing the old what's the word I'm looking for? Like old, like destroyed, like you have the old battleships, the old Star Destroyer in the sand that's just crashed and burnt
Like
out.
the remnants of the war.
Yeah, but if you reuse and recycle, baby, to keep the galaxy clean, I love that too, and I kind of like how they're doing a good job. That was by far my favorite part of the Jack Black stuff is how he repurposed everything to be functional for him, and then like kind of like found all his little. I love how they're just finding ways to. They have all these little conundrums, and they're like, "Well, we can't get an army, so we'll just get some Mandalorians in here, and we can't do this, so we're just going to do that." That is like that's like the Barstool blogger in them just coming out. It's like, well, our back end can't do shit, so we'll just say, play this song as you read the blog, and stuff like that.
So they are also assured by the Ugnaughts that it's not their fault either. So they're like, oh, Jesus, it felt like an SVU episode to me, where it's like they find the guy that leads them to the guy that leads them to the guy that leads them to the true story, you know? So they go down to the docks and we get battle droids, which I love to hear in a battle droid be like, no, you are not authorized to do that, sir.
Roger.
I love hearing that voice. Brings me right back to my childhood, watching The Phantom Menace 1,000 times over and over again. And Mando, I've seen some people make this comparison on Twitter. He's kind of a racist cop when it comes to these droids. Let's just call it as it is. He's being a little too aggressive. He walks up to these droids and he just starts kicking them like right in the side of the leg, like where Meatball Molly kicked me. And he's like, one of these things is going to start reacting soon. And one of them does. One of them just takes off running. Immediately, I'm like, holy shit, I've never seen a super battle droid run like that. If they were running like that in the Clone Wars, we might have been in trouble as the Jedi, you know? But he runs after it. Bo eventually shoots it down. And then police tape droids come out of nowhere. Police tape droids were one of my favorite parts of the episode because that is such a practical thing in the Star Wars universe that would exist. And the way they made it look with a hologram version of the tape, I thought that was brilliant. And they find a chip on this super battle droid from a bar. They're like, oh, this is from so-and-so's bar. So they go to the droid bar. Music stops, records scratch immediately. Everyone turns and looks at him. They're like, I guess they don't get much of our kind here. There's some DJ Rex droids in the bar. If you're a Star Wars Disney person, you saw them. And the bartender swears up and down, voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard's husband, that he wants to help. He's like, I swear, I know it looks like we're, giving these droids a drink or oil, whatever it is that makes them malfunction, but we want to help. We want to continue being repurposed. Some of these people are Imperial droids, separatist droids. This is the only planet where they would be allowed. So trust me, we're not trying to take it over. So they're like, all right, let's talk to this guy. They bring him to the back and he goes through all these like little things. And I love that scene where he's like,
yep.
Like
I love that, dude. Right? I love that line.
Dude, wasn't that sick? And they find out they all ordered this one drink called Nepenthe. And they're like, oh, shit, Nepenthe. So let's go to the morgue. They go to literally a droid morgue. They pull them out like they're doing an autopsy. They draw some blood or oil, whatever that is, from them. And all of these little nano droids have an encryption on them. They name dropped the Techno Union. That's who it was originally commissioned by, but written by Commissioner Hellgate, aka Christopher Lloyd. So basically, all of that mumbo jumbo means Christopher Lloyd is the reason the droids are malfunctioning in the first place. A ball droid also tries to kill him during this. Is a fun little action scene there.
And all this. So first of all, the chase scene with the droid felt prequely. Right.
Yes.
I feel like there was how many chase scenes were there in the prequels? I know there was the one, I believe, in episode 2 where they're
the beginning of episode 2, very much vibes of that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Where they're going after old Changer Face.
Yeah. Old Changer Face. I love that the droids have their bar, the resistor. It feels like they've kind of been shunned. Obviously, your kind aren't welcome here. And the resistor almost feels like this is the droid bar that we are allowed at. Little bit of a gay bar feel too, where it's like they are not the traditional society. They're kind of getting their own, which by the way, me and Kenjack were not allowed in the bar at first when we went to Disney because we got lost from you guys and there's reservations. And the lady's like, what, you have a reservation? We're like, yeah. They're like, what's the name? I'm like, Jeff D. Lowe. I see the fucking paper and it says Jeff D. Lowe, reservation for like 6 or 8 or whatever it was. And she still wouldn't let us in. I'm like, yo, we're C-3PO and R2-D2 trying to get into Mos Eisley. So I now know what it feels like to be oppressed for being a droid in a bar. And I did not think it was right. A lot of people are going a lot of different ways with the vibes of this scene or the whole plot of the robots kind of turning evil. and they're giving you all these things. Your boy Clem here, I'm giving you one that is more accurate than what anyone else is saying. And not a lot of people probably know this. Zootopia. If you watch Zootopia and all the predators fucking become bloodthirsty and there's some nefarious thing at length from someone higher up, it's basically just Zootopia. It's Robot Zootopia. Robotopia. Boom. There you go. That's why you guys tune into the basement. You don't know I'm going to drop a Disney movie on your fucking face out of nowhere. That's what it all felt like to me.
Bo-Katan is Officer Judy Hopps.
I love the full name too. God bless.
That is crazy. Yeah. I don't know if it's still back there. No, it's not back there. It's in the closet, I think. But I have the Fox as a Funko Pop, Jason Bateman. I don't even know the Fox's name. I should know the Fox's name.
So then you should know the Fox's name. I'm shocked you don't. You know Judy Hopps. That's Din Djarin. He's the
because he's kind of a bad boy, but he turns into you like him in the end. And his little guy that he makes popsicles with is Baby Yoda.
I mean,
Nick Wilde.
Did we just fucking? We might have just broken the Mandalorian for people. Now they're just gonna
Mandalorian is Zootopia, guys. Zootopia. How do you not see it?
And Lizzo was Shakira, who sings the song.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen Zootopia, like that is a must watch. That is one of those kids movies that is amazing for adults as well. There's like Breaking Bad Easter eggs in Zootopia.
Yes. Which we've already let know how much we love Breaking Bad, or at least I do. Oh my God.
Yeah. All right, so they confront Hellgate. He threatens to hit the failsafe button and go crazy. He doesn't ever really give like a reason for doing this. He's a separatist from back in the day, so like they are kind of the droid people, but he just reveals himself as a crazy Count Dooku loyalist. He's like, I have never backed down. Count Dooku was right. He shouldn't have been oppressed by the Jedi Order, whatever. And then she just shoots him with a taser, and she's like, politics. I loved that line. Like, we're not dealing with fucking politics in Star Wars anymore.
I think he called Count Dooku a visionary. And I'm like, Count Dooku getting shouted out for being a visionary when I still don't. He was a replacement for the Darth Jar Jar void that was, fucking created due to the panning of episode 1, which, okay, I'm not going to go down to Darth Jar Jar rabbit hole again, but I'm just going to say this much. This is probably how like Alex Jones felt when he first started getting subscribers on his channel. A lot of people are going to be like, Clem, that blog that you wrote, there's some very good points being raised. And I'm like, thank you. This fucking Reddit that has a million things. So I have to just be very careful. All right, I'm not going to go down that. This also might be, first of all, that red button, that thing could just cause like turn every robot. Kind of a crazy thing to just have out there where if someone like bumps into
biggest red button. It was like the thing at the bank, a little like a plastic shield over it. It's like the little tube you put something in at the bank. But yeah, he could just take the tube away anytime he wanted.
On like Bring Your Kids to Work Day, if it was Bring Your Kids to Work Day and I was working there, AJ would have smashed that fucking button. The entire planet would be wiped out by battle droids. What are we doing, Christopher Lloyd? Like, and maybe because he is such a separatist, he doesn't give a fuck. He kind of wanted someone to do it. Maybe, I don't know. It was almost okay. So I had a lot of weird pop culture comparisons going on. Again, the brain was in weird mode last night. A little bit of Newman from Jurassic Park when he's the programmer who would just fuck everything up. And this entire scene where we meet the guy early, the crazy guy, and we're like, all right, whatever. He's on our side. You go, you find out it's him. And he's like, I would have gone away with it if it wasn't for you stinging kids. It was a Scooby-Doo episode.
My brother texted me the same exact thing. He texted me a picture of Christopher Lloyd from this episode, and he wrote, I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids. I can't believe you said that. That is crazy.
All right, so you know what? I have to go to Disney more because the brain is cooking overtime.
Yeah.
I actually, and then I added this too with the Jack Black when we meet Jack Black. This felt like almost like a Make-A-Wish, or like didn't it feel like that?
Like they won a contest to be in the Mandalorian.
Yeah, it's like they had their like exclusive Hollywood parties and they had a raffle and they're like Jack Black and Lizzo, or it was a Mad Libs. I don't know. Now listen,
I hate to say that too because I love them both. I'm not hating on them. I'm really not. Like, and I don't even think it was their fault necessarily. I just don't think they meshed, like they take us out of the episode a little bit. They're almost too famous. Ken Jack said Lizzo's too currently famous for this. And I agree.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Ed Sheeran. Remember when Ed Sheeran just started singing Shape of You in the forest in Game of Thrones? And it's like, what the fuck?
That is a great comparison. And it's
it took us out of it.
Listen, when we get our cameo in Star Wars and Marvel. Shout out Michael Bolton. Like, I don't want to be front and center. They're like, oh, that's Clem. The millions and millions of people would be like, Clem, I know Clem from Barstool Sports. I just can't have that happen. So just put me in the background.
You want a heavy spoilers guy to have to point you out and be like, that's actually so-and-so. That's what you want.
You see that big fat head in the back? That's Clem's right there.
And his great his accent. That would sound great. So we go to Lizzo and Jack Black again. Lizzo's playing bocce ball with a slug, and Grogu helps her with the Force. Kind of reminded me of Qui-Gon helping the dice game in Phantom Menace. Like,
yep.
All right, Grogu, this isn't gray Jedi shit, but it's hints of gray Jedi shit.
I would not hate that in the least if my boy Grogu is just making. God damn it! I said it again. Fuck, am I becoming a Grogu
You're
guy?
A Grogu guy. You're a Grogu guy.
Why can't you just be a Baby Yoda guy? You just have to
natural. It's natural. No, I'm not trying. I see it on the closed caption. I read all the. I see that's the. You know what it is in my mind. I read too many theories and forums and announcements, and they all use Grogu. That's probably what it is.
And to be fair, I'm at a weakened mental state right now. So if next week I stay,
no, you just proved you might be at a heightened mental state.
That's true.
You don't even know where you're at after Disney. It's like being on the Guardians ride. You get off of it and you're like, I don't know what's left. Did you go on the Guardians ride again?
We went on the Guardians ride. We got lucky enough to get on the queue, and Sienna was like basically crying before we went on. She was so scared of it, and we're like, I was basically like, you better go on. I did volunteer to skip it because it's a family movie. We all love the Guardians, obviously. I volunteered to leave it because I already been on it with you guys. And Sienna at the end of the vacation, we're like, Sienna, what do you give this vacation? Expecting nothing, 10 out of 10 every single time. She goes, 8 out of 10. I'm like, 8 out of 10? You motherfucker, do you know how much money? And she goes, it lost 2 points for the scary rides. She went on Tron, which scared her, and Guardian scared her. We lost 2 full fucking points because of 2 rides that lasted, I don't know, like 3 minutes total.
A combined 3 minutes, yeah.
And we had Conga as our song. And Bob, it was electric. I would have loved September. That would have been the best. Conga was number 2, though. We had Burn Baby Burn when you and I went on, which was, I think, probably number 3. But oh my God, Conga, as you go through that adventure.
Did you do Tron too?
I did not. I've heard that Tron, the Avatar flight of the Avatar or whatever, and Snow White Mine Train. If you're a big guy, I have big knees. You will be hurting for certain, and it's going to be a tough fit if you even fit at all. So I skipped that altogether. I didn't,
especially as a non-Tron guy. It's not like if Guardians was that, you're like maybe I risk it or something. But like Tron, who gives a fuck? Respectfully,
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, you make a good point there with the Guardians reference.
So Hellgate's brought before him. They go back and forth for a little bit with how could you do this? I would have gotten away with it, all that. And then Bo and Mando are given the key to Plaisir, and Grogu's knighted. So that's Sir Grogu to you from now on. He's not a Jedi Knight. Yeah, he's not a Jedi Knight, but he is a knight on Plaisir, him and Paul McCartney or something. So then they go to the Mandos. They take the people mover. They go to the group of Mandos. And they're like, are we going to fucking talk this out or what? And Axe Wolves basically gives her we're going to fight this out. So Axe Wolves and Bo-Katan have a little hand-to-hand combat scene to end the episode with actually really well choreographed action. I thought it was really cool when they go up to the ship and then she shoots him with like a grappling hook and pulls him down and shit. She gets the better of him. She gains the upper hand, makes him surrender. And then they're still being pissy. And they're like, she doesn't even have the fucking Darksaber. She's going to unite Mandalore. How can you expect us to follow her? And Mando steps up. And this is a huge moment for the season. He goes, I think she does have the Darksaber. Everyone's like, what? And he's like, I was defeated by an enemy that took the Darksaber from me. I had no control over it. And then she was my savior. She came in. She actually used the Darksaber. She defeated this enemy. And then she just handed it back to me. So aren't you telling me if you just have to defeat someone to win the Darksaber that she already did what she has to do? And Axe Wolves is like, he's right. Give her the Darksaber. And she takes the Darksaber. She ignites it. Huge ending for the episode. I was happy for Bo-Katan. My hate meter is completely flipped, okay? The hate meter's at 0.
It's a love meter now.
Bo-Katan. It's a love meter now. But there is part of me that's going, okay, Mando tried to just give her the Darksaber at the end of season 2. She said no because she doesn't want to go down the path of how it was cursed the last time, essentially, because she was given the Darksaber in Rebels. That did not go well for her. Is this kind of a technicality for her where she's like, all right, I guess I could take it at this point? She's still kind of taking it. I mean, listen, I get that she did defeat an enemy, but it's not like the enemy knew the rules of Darksaber. I don't know. It felt a little bit like, I'm happy for her. I hope this isn't going to lead us down a cursed path, but I'm worried it's going to lead us down a cursed path.
So first things first, Mando confirmed My Mom's Basement listener, because we said this shit weeks ago. We said, isn't that technicality? Isn't that a technical thing where you did win it, but you're not winning it? It's like putting someone over in wrestling without having you pin them or submit them, but you have to change the belt. So Vince McMahon comes down. Like, they just find a way to make it fucking happen.
It's a dusty finish. It's a murky,
dusty finish. Yep, I like that one. However, I forget the whole thing where you're dealing with all these fanatics, and I think the one thing we're forgetting about Mandalorians, they're all kind of crazy because they're all in these different sects, and they're all about different, they're about war, first of all, and they're just all about their beliefs, and then you're dealing with mythology and all this kind of stuff. It could lead to a dark, a cursed path. I like the way you're saying that. And they're just gonna be like, that redheaded bitch, if she took that thing the right way, it would have been. So I'm kind of with you, Bob. I think that's actually a good point. I also, again, a lot of pop culture things going through my head last night, and I was just in Disney. I had some Rufio versus Peter Pan vibes.
Oh,
with Axe Wolves and Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan, the old leader, fucking, they left. He kind of took over. I fucking hate Rufio. I hated his guts so much when I watched him. And I still to this day don't really, I don't want to say a fist pump when Hook fucking murders his ass, but I don't feel too bad because that guy tried to fucking literally drew a line in the sand and said, it's either me or Pan. And that guy was the real Pan, and if he didn't know it, and that little kid was the only guy who goes, there you are, Peter. That guy is my fuck man. Fuck Rufio.
Hook comes back to this podcast so often. It's like the Dark Knight somehow.
Yeah, exactly. That's why when I still remember when Big Cat said it was his top 50, and then it became a whole thing. I'm like, Dave, you're losing this battle. I don't go against Portnoy much, but he was fighting a losing war to, I think, a good chunk of the site. The fight was okay. I thought it was like cool. I like how Bo always uses her jetpack. She fucking knows how to use a jetpack really well. Even during the chase scene, she was using it, right?
Yep.
I still want to see someone who knows how to use the blowtorch, right? But we're beggars can't be choosers.
Oh, he pretty much lost the fight on the blowtorch too. He used it, and that was his fatal move. He totally lost on that.
There's gonna be one Mandalorian that's gonna be like an expert at the blowtorch, like a 99.
They have like the flamethrower suit on somehow, like a red suit. Yeah.
It's like that GIF you always see where the guy's just fucking blowtorching everything. That's gonna be. I like that. I'm gonna make a prediction now too. Next week, this epic Mandalorian we're being promised, there will be a huge blowtorch moment. Huge blowtorch moment.
Oh,
I hope this isn't my Gamorrean guards take again. However, this is what I think. Axe Wolves kind of just like got his ass beat by Bo after kind of calling her out. I think he should lose the Axe Wolves name. You don't deserve a name as cool as Axe Wolves. Yeah, if you fucking lose, he's not badass enough for the name Axe Wolves. So you know what I'm going to name him?
What?
Taserface. He's now Taserface. You fucking dork, fucking Axe Wolves. I thought Axe Wolves was so cool when I met him. He's kind of like, oh, we're Mandalorians, we're badass. He's talking to these fucking Romeo and Juliet fish over here, and he's, I'm Mr. Axe Wolves. And then by the end, he just gets washed by Bo-Katan. I think I'm calling him Taserface. I'm done with him for now. Now, he can make it up to me.
He feels like he's like Jango Fett's stunt double to me.
Yeah, yes! Wow. Great call. Great call.
So Taserface is apt for him as well. I'm cool with calling him Taserface from here on out. Now, let me ask you this. 2 episodes left in this season. Next week is the penultimate episode, supposed to be the best episode ever, which is going to make this season, in hindsight, way better. Do you feel like this season has suffered from Mando taking a backseat? Do you feel like it suffered from, it doesn't feel like we're building to a conclusion as much as we did season 2?
If you go back, I think when it's all said and done, we're just going to remember, all right, this happened in this season, this happened in that season. In the moment, it does feel weird. It feels uneven, or it feels like feels like when you're at dinner and you're like, wait, we're almost done with the meal already. I feel like we haven't even gotten the meal yet, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people feel that way too. I understand where they're coming from for sure. I do think though I've seen enough from the Book of Boba Fett with the Mando episodes that like they could just drop 2 fucking heaters on our head, which it sounds like we're getting the first next week, and we'll just be like, oh yeah, who cares? Like,
agreed.
Even in the first season, everything was completely unrelated. Yeah. And it was just a little bit here, a little bit there, and then fucking
it was the final 2 in the first season as well. Yeah.
And
we got Gideon in the last 2.
Filoni puts the puzzle pieces here and here, and then it's like, oh my god, it's just all there. It's like when you're trying to blur your eyes to see the magic eye, you do that one little thing, and then it just appears. I think that's what's going to happen.
It's mall rats. It's a schooner.
We're getting our schooner. The schooner will be here by the end of episode 8. Don't you worry about it. Filoni's going to get us that schooner. He's going to take us home. I'm not worried, and
I agree.
A little worried. I'm a little worried. Very 2% worried. But
like, I would have been worried if not hearing already about how amazing next week's episode is. I think, like you said, if the final 2 episodes are movie quality good, that's all we're going to remember.
Yeah, and I'll go to my grave, and it could be completely wrong. I'll go to my grave convinced that they could have used those 2 Mando episodes in this season instead of Book of Boba Fett, but that shit was so bad they just had to save it. So they're like, all right, we have to fucking, because if you throw those 2 episodes into this and make it a 10-episode season, I mean, you're not even thinking of that because you do get those 2 monsters that happen in those seasons and stuff like that. You're getting, Ahsoka in there and all that stuff as well. So Luke. I do think that could be that's definitely that, and that definitely happened. I'm convincing myself that is exactly why it happened the way it happened. But like again, I'm not going to everyone always says Clem's not going to say he's going to do it, and then he says it. But like, let's just all come to an agreement that it is absurd that in the same season that had the general scientist Kenjack, that deep plot and all that with the Lizzo and Jack Black episode, like it was like what 2 or 3 episodes apart. It's crazy. It's like we got like Andor Light, and we got the Jack Black and Lizzo episode, Scooby-Doo, the Jack, Lizzo, Christopher Lloyd, Scooby-Doo episode in like 2 or 3 episodes, which I guess does kind of show that it has range.
Yeah,
series,
totally.
Right?
And I like that. I'm sure like kids also fucking love
this exactly. I should watch it with my kids and see what they think, because it was 11 at night and I didn't even want to look. There was not one sense in my body that wanted to be near my kids. I didn't want to see them. I didn't want to hear them. I didn't want them touching me. Nothing. Just get the fuck out of here.
Nothing. No dishes. Nothing. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Do we have a hashtag? What's our hashtag? Meddling kids. Is that too long?
No, I think that could work. We can go meddling.
Hashtag meddling kids.
Hashtag meddling kids. I like that.
All right, and give us your predictions for next week's supposedly amazing episode. No spoilers, please. I know that there's probably spoilers out there because they showed it to a whole crowd at Celebration, but just try to give us your predictions. If you know the spoilers, we'd like to go in without knowing anything. And if you've made it to the end of the episode, I hope you respect that. And if you've made it to the end of the episode, make sure you like it, because we forgot to tell you that in the beginning of the episode.
We are morons.
Yeah. All right. We will talk to you next week when we talk about the penultimate episode of The Mandalorian Season 3.